I've ever heard in my life who says a whole lot without saying anything. And I know that's a great skill to have as a politician, and all of them are pretty good at it. But he
Right.
is fantastic at
Mm.
running his mouth. He could talk for 45 minutes and not say a single thing of value. Like, it's crazy.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife? Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. But sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?
I've ever heard in my life who says a whole lot without saying anything. And I know that's a great skill to have as a politician, and all of them are pretty good at it. But
Right.
he is fantastic at running his mouth. He could talk for 45 minutes and not say a single thing of value. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
So I don't know.
I am interested in seeing Hillary become president on the fact of I want to see what the NRA's reaction is to Hillary becoming president versus the actual gun sale profit that they make. Because I know one of the things that I keep reading about is I still, even to this day, I see articles and people posting things about like Obama did this, so now bullets are so expensive people can't buy bullets for their guns. And I'm just looking at a lot of like statistics sheets, and it's. I mean, I pretty much already know the reason why there's not enough bullets being sold. And it's not because they're limiting the bullets being manufactured. Is there's so many more handguns in America and so many people buying bullets because it's like right before a hurricane, people like buy so much water and they hoard it that there's no water on the shelves. It's not because there's not, like the hurricane took away the water. It's because people are buying it in mass quantities. So like
JP
they
did the
can't
same
kill
thing.
production for sure.
Yeah,
I
JP
think,
did the same thing. I remember him stocking up
right.
on bullets when he found like a sale. He was like, "I'm going to buy a bunch of bullets because they're prices skyrocketing."
You have to now. So I mean, if you're a gun owner, I have a 22 caliber rifle.
Right.
I have probably, I don't know, 1,500 rounds, like sort of stockpiled or whatever. I literally have kept an eye out because 22 rounds are hard to find. I have not been able to buy a box from any sporting goods store since Thanksgiving, if not before.
Because all of you guys have like 15,000 bullets, and as soon as somebody puts one on the shelf, you're like, I gotta buy it now.
Gotta
now
buy
you
it.
have 20,000.
That's
and
true.
you're still buying.
They're like Pokemons. Must
I mean,
collect
like,
them
if
all.
zombie things happen, you guys, I mean, America is fucking set. I mean, there's no way anyone's going to invade America without being, like, shot with 1 billion bullets with plenty to spare.
Well, and you can thank Obama for that, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Like statistics I read is that because Obama became president versus gun rate in sales beforehand, he added about $9 billion to the gun industry.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Although I feel like the NRA is espousing that they like having a Democrat as president would be like, again, the worst thing ever. I think they would really hate having a Republican win this election because then they're like, oh no, guns are safe. You don't have to buy bullets anymore.
You're right. Everybody would kind of tone down a little bit as far as
Where's the money from the bullets going though? Is it going to taxes? Because if it's going to taxes, then the guns...
No, raising rates because there's a demand for it. So you could charge twice as much.
Yeah, so what happened was after like the Shady Hook and all that kind of stuff happens, when you have a Democrat in office, they're immediately like, oh, assault rifles are the worst thing on the planet. We need to do away with them. So the NRA starts spewing propaganda all over the place about how this Democrat in office is going to do away with all weapons of any kind. So you need to start stocking up. Well, we had several instances there in a row where, there was all these gun sort of violence cases in schools and this, that, and the other. So it sort of created this, climax of fear about how guns were going to go away in the U.S. So naturally, the NRA wanting to sell weapons and sell bullets and all this was the Democrats are definitely going to steal all your guns out of your homes right now. You need to buy everything you can at this exact second. Don't hesitate for a moment. So everyone ran out and started buying everything they could. And 22 is the smallest caliber, kind of rifle that's affordable to shoot, and you can buy it without too much of a hassle. So everyone in America now owns a 22 rifle. You can't buy 22 bullets because, the demand is far greater than the people who are trying to buy it.
Right.
So it's this whole weird thing. I don't know. And it's going to level off, but
Ironically, though, in America, horrific gun shooting actually drives up the amount of gun sales.
right.
That's a little weird.
Well, and another weird thing, like this whole thing is based on like Shady Hook and all this, that, and the other thing where we want to do away with assault rifles now. Like that was the whole huge thing with Obama is we got to limit assault rifles. Guess what? Handguns attribute to
Way more deaths.
11,000 American deaths a year, where on average assault rifles attribute like 300.
Right.
Like it's not close and it's ridiculously far apart. But that's what the whole legislature is about, is trying to get rid of assault rifles and banana clips and, this, whatever.
See, that's where I can't get on the Democrat side about, like, because, I mean, I'm a strong proponent of gun control. I believe, like, we should have, like, everyone should be able to have guns if they want to. Well, not everyone, of reasonable, like, not insane people or whatever. But, I think proper training, proper storage, people being accountable for their weapons, I think these are all reasonable measures. So, like, whenever you hear, like, let's say, a horrible gun tragedy, you should be like, oh, we should need more training. We should make sure there's gun locks so kids can't get guns, through illegal channels. We should have more tracking of every single weapon. So, like, let's say you're a gun seller and someone steals your guns. Well, we know which sellers' weapons are getting stolen the most often. Stolen, being the operative word. And instead, they're like, oh, this tragedy happened. We got to make sure there's no bazookas ever being sold in America. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's not really the issue here. Or
Right. And that's exactly it, is that my goofy 22 with, just because it has a big enough magazine to warrant the government being interested in it, has to have like this whole, I have to go, file all this paperwork and do this big background check. Meanwhile, someone's 9mm handgun doesn't require anywhere near that much paperwork, where it's, thousands of times more likely to kill someone or the gun owner than my goofy 22 that I'm just going to shoot at trees out in the woods,
Now, there was two shootings that I found really amazing. I don't know why it's not a bigger deal. There was a guy at church who accidentally shot himself in the hand because his gun went off. He forgot to put the safety on, and I don't know why it went off, but I remember reading that basically he shot his own hand, and then he tried to not make a big deal about it. Like, oh, I didn't shoot my hand. I'm just going to pretend that I'm okay to the church service.
He shot himself in the hand during church?
Yeah.
So
like,
he
gun went off and shot himself.
I thought
He was like,
I
want
thought
Big Motto.
churches were still part of the ban. Churches and schools on where you were allowed to carry your weapons to, even with a CCW.
Well, it depends. It depends what state you're in. I'm not sure what state, but like Texas is like you can take your guns anywhere.
You can't go in unless you have a gun. Like
Right,
you're
exactly.
not allowed
They'll
inside.
kick you out if you're not packing heat.
And then there was a case with the old retired man that is in the news where he mistook his taser for his gun. And honestly, I do believe him. I think he mistook his taser for his gun, but then ended up shooting someone in the back while he was actually subdued. And I'm just thinking, God, those kind of stories just annoy the hell out of me because it's sort of this is the reason why in Mayberry, Barney Fife had to take his skull out and put it in his pocket.
Right. Well, and like it's horrible. Like I was in North Carolina when that happened in South Carolina. Like I was literally down there in that time period, and it's like, seriously, do we need more black eyes down here? Like, I mean, it's kind of stereotypical, just backwoods, kind of this goofy, Barney Fife like you're talking about, and you couldn't have scripted this in a weird, Barney Fife sitcom. Had you tried, this would have been like that would never happen. That sort of thing.
Right.
Oh, it totally did happen.
Well, I had never actually seen a taser in real life. Is it something that can be easily mistaken? Like,
No.
I mean, if you looked at the gun when you were shooting, maybe.
I mean, in the same way that a pencil may be mistaken for a bazooka, yes, it could be mistaken.
Well, they're both cylinders.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like the taser probably, if you non-looking reached for something and you grabbed the side of a gun versus the side of a taser, just at the handle, you might think you're grabbing onto the other one, but then in that any type of movement and realizing that a taser is straight, a gun has like curve like to it, the trigger that you pull, a different hand, like it's.
And if I'm not mistaken, he shot him like 6 times, right? So like
where's my taser? Where's the taser?
No, it was a different shooting. That was the guy who shot the guy running away 6 times in the back. That was definitely racist, and that was definitely this guy just being a horrible person. He ended up taking the taser. The taser was involved, where he went back, picked up the taser, dropped it on the person's body, and it's just like Dave Chappelle, like just spring some crack on that guy, and fucking hell.
Well, and that's what I was talking about too. And I was in North Carolina when that happened in South Carolina, like not that far away, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Seriously?
Tragically, I'm talking about an actual different shooting, where there's like a 70-year-old, 76-year-old man who, she was during, some guy was running. I don't know exactly for what, like a broken taillight. 2 cops had the guy subdued on the ground and takes out his weapon and shoots him and ends up killing the guy. But as soon as he shoots him, boom, he's like, "Oh, sorry, I shot him." Like, sorry, like, I thought it was my taser.
We'll all have a laugh about this at the precinct after lunch.
Yeah, but yeah,
that's a little messed up.
Well, that's America for you.
America. So hang tight one.
So if we have episode 36 in the can, you said you have one more ready to go.
Right.
And then this one, the first part of what we did.
Yes.
Be 37.
Right.
So we're on 38.
Yes.
All right.
Is this going somewhere?
Yeah.
Yes. To 39 and then 40 and then 41 and then 42.
It is. Just simmer down.
Bigger.
You guys simmer down. Simmer down just a minute.
Mark, I'm scared.
I don't know what he's doing. He's planning something.
I am. I had an idea. Little idea. We can start it at episode 38. It's not a big deal.
Should start. Everyone, happy 40th episode.
It makes everything look substantial. We should have started our podcast as opposed to episode 1. Just be like, episode 38 of What Do We Know podcast. And people be like, holy crap, like this thing's been around forever. I must be missing out.
Episode 3005.
I actually, it's funny. When I ordered checks last time, it allowed me to say what check number I wanted my books to start at. And I didn't even think about that, but a long time ago, I remember Vanessa was trying to pay for something with a check, like an apartment
Right.
deposit check, and they wouldn't accept it because it was the first check in a book. So it was like check number, 101, because I think they start at like 100 or whatever. And they said, it's too early. We can't determine that this means you've established credit.
What?
Yeah, it was the most off the wall thing I'd ever heard. And then, like, when I was buying checks and it said, what number would you like your checkbook to start at? I was like, well, wait a minute here. Like,
Okay.
I'll start
Well,
these checks at 9.94, and then nobody
Right.
can tell me it's not established credit anymore.
What's Vanessa up to? Have you talked to her in a
I
long
have
time?
absolutely not a clue.
Huh.
Well, if Vanessa is listening to this podcast, I hope you're doing well. Reach out. You can find us at www.wdwkpodcast.com and email us at, what's our email address? wdwkpodcast@gmail.com. Do it.
What's our YouTube?
I don't know. I don't know what that is. Search us at
YouTube.com/WDWK podcast. The only one different is freaking Facebook, because you decided to make Harry Johnson the star of that
No, that's
Facebook
not true.
page.
That's not true.
Yeah. Excuse me?
It's not.
Go on.
I initially started to do it on that one, and then I decided that I wasn't ever going to receive emails from that, so I changed it up to my other one, and it's a whole different thing now.
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
The
I
Harry
don't know.
Johnson profile is like a whole different thing that's not linked to the WDWK Facebook page
Why
at all.
wouldn't you get emails from it?
Because I don't ever check that email address.
Oh, it was a whole separate email address?
It was a whole separate account, yeah.
Oh, I thought you did it with the WDWK podcast account.
No, I changed it to my everyday Facebook account, and linked it off that because I knew I would never ever see, account sort of emails from that weird account that I started.
Oh.
Do we still get emails every once in a while?
No, not very often. Because I pulled it. Immediately when I realized that it was going to be a pain in my butt, I pulled it off of there and changed it over to my, original Facebook account.
Okay, so let's start on whatever the hell you were going to make us do. Or
Well, I'm not making you do anything. This is a free country.
forcing us.
I'm not forcing you to do anything. I
I don't
feel
want
like
to be here, but there's a gun to my head. It's off camera.
But
Thanks
it's
a lot,
okay.
Mike.
The gun doesn't have any bullets in it. Doesn't
I-
It's
matter.
just
yeah.
can't afford it.
because I can't buy anymore because this weird Democratic electoral that we have in the White House right now won't allow us to buy any 22 rounds.
But don't worry, we're
So-
not opinionated.
Right, exactly. Yeah, disclaimer, whatever. All right. Anyways, so I feel like in the tradition of us honoring things that we hold sacred, our 38th episode, we should start looking at the whole, because I feel like we're a really smart podcast.
Yeah, very much so. The smartest,
The
I
most-
actually want to say.
Yes.
Super smart. We are super smart most of the time. So I feel like we should start incorporating sort of basic science and numbers into our podcast. So this is going to
This
be
is brought by
podcast-
the letter 3. No, wait.
So this
Smart.
is going to be podcast number 38. Okay?
Okay.
So when we look at the number 38, and by the way, I hope to start kind of bringing up random facts about every episode, and just see where it goes from there. 38 is, I don't know if it's that really special of a number. It's the atomic number of strontium.
Strontium, my favorite of the elements.
No, I hate that one.
Oh, Mark, you just need to get to know strontium better. Like, strontium is misunderstood at first meeting, but then once you get to know him, he's a good guy.
All right. I agree. I agree. 37 and 38 are the first pair of consecutive positive integers not divisible by any of their digits. I don't know if
They're
you
the
knew that.
first set?
Yep.
So, why does that statistic add 37 and 38 into it? Wouldn't it be just 37 is the first?
Right.
Well,
That,
because 37 and 38 is the first pair.
Oh, it's the first pair. Okay, okay.
wow, that's
That's
very
one of those
tedious.
facts that's really reaching to make sure that they can make a fact out of it.
Right. I could not agree more. However, I'm searching for facts for the number 38 here.
38 is the lamest number there is.
I don't agree with that. I
I,
feel like
I don't think there's any factual
two.
evidence to back that up either.
I think two might be lamer than 38.
Oh, twos are great. It's where you
Why?
start couples and uh, you have
But
pairs.
it's not the first couples that have consecutive odd. What was that? First pair of consecutive positive integers not divisible by any of their digits. How do you feel about that, Mark?
I feel like that's very
That's what I thought.
something.
I'm going to take a look now and see if I can find personal facts about
So, well,
38.
I got more. I got more facts
Oh,
about
go on,
38.
go on.
And I feel like Mark should have kind of a personal significance to this one. The 38th parallel north is the pre-Korean War boundary between North and South Korea,
Ah.
The pre. Hmm.
right? And that sort of, I feel like most people have seen this before. The people with red-green color blindness have probably seen that test where it's the number 38 in red, and then they fill in green that makes it 88. So if you're red green color blind, all you see is 88.
Hmm.
No, I got you. I like that test. It's a good
I
one.
like that one.
Boom. The number of slots on an American roulette wheel is 38.
That
European, they
include
only
double
use
zero?
37 because they don't use the double zero.
Really? So European slots, you have a better chance at?
Yeah,
Or is it European roulette?
right.
So
Yeah.
in theory, you should go to Europe to gamble. I'm going to be in Europe in July. I'm going to do some gambling because I have a better. It's not a better than 50%, but it is still a better
Slightly.
odds than
You
doing
could
it in
do
Vegas.
exactly 50% odds though with black and red then. Right? I
No,
would
because there's still they have a single zero still. I'm assuming, right?
Right. Just not a
Just
double
not a
zero.
double zero.
I thought double zero was green. Everything else was
There's
red
a
and
single
black.
zero as well. There's single
But it's
zero,
still
double zero.
there's 38 slots total.
Dude, let's start a casino where we do triple and quad zero as well.
I
Odds
feel like
more in our favor. People still have fun gambling.
And make it like Wheel of Fortune where there's a bankrupt one where like, well, just take all your money.
Only if
Well-
we can have that one Wheel of Fortune chick. Oh no, that was Price is Right. Never mind. I was gonna say the one that gives away the car.
With
Like
free
then,
cards, yeah.
well, I feel like if we did a roulette wheel with 36 slots, the odds are still definitely stacked in our favor, and we could have the best odds of anyone in the world.
with their, how do you figure?
Well, because the American roulette is 38, European is 37 slots because they don't use the double zero. If we did 36, don't use any zeros, the odds are still in our favor by a long ways.
No, the odds
Well,
are exactly
he-
even. that
No,
way.
he's talking about like picking numbers, not just black and white, but just let's say numbers 1 through 8 or something like that.
Right,
You'd still have
exactly.
a
Have a
1
better
in
chance.
36 shot at them.
We
which is
still
better
have a
than
way
138.
Hey,
better.
what is the payout on roulette? Is it 36 times your payment if you get
Well, yeah, it depends on what you bet on.
if you bet a number,
I really don't know what the
or is
odds
it
are.
32? It might only be 32 times. You're
Yeah, I was
winning.
going to say they definitely cut it down. They're not going to let you win like
No, I thought it was 36 off the top of my head, but then there was technically 38 spots, so that is cut down. But I guess if it's only 32, then that's cut down anyway. Yeah, I guess it's. But if people just bet, black or red on our 36 slot roulette wheel, then it's an exactly even distribution.
So for any sci-fi fans out there,
Go
big
on.
fans of Stargate SG-1,
Okay.
the gate can stay open for a maximum of 38 minutes.
Ooh. I didn't ever know that. I guess I never watched. Did you ever watch the Stargate? Stargate the movie, amazing.
Yeah.
Stargate
Yeah.
the series when it first came out, I started watching it. I thought it was good, and I just never continued it. But it kept paralleling, and people love it, and I've never seen it.
I felt the same way. Like I saw the movie and I thought the movie was pretty good.
Yeah.
However, like I remember watching the series. Like I remember when the series came out and I remember watching like the first episode and maybe the next couple. I don't remember what happened after the first two or three that I stopped watching it because I seem to remember that the TV show was fairly good. Um, I maybe like I and this is just like a total guess or whatever. Like maybe I started dating my wife at that point or something where I was way less interested in TV. Like I really don't know what the circumstance was that I stopped watching it altogether. But I seem to remember it, it was a good show and a good movie and I don't know why I never followed up on it because I'm totally like a science fiction dork.
I wonder if it's on Netflix.
Okay.
It'd be
So
a good show to start watching.
So you're a science fiction dork or whatever you said. Let me ask you, do you like Firefly? Because I don't get why it was so popular.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it. I have never once seen it.
There's
It's
two.
like a
There's
huge
two
fan.
seasons. Two seasons, and then one fan made season.
I'm so
Movie, I
glad that
think.
Mark brought this up actually because I feel like every time Firefly is brought up like in public media, it is such this huge thing where it was the greatest show on television. When Jeff just said it only had two seasons, like that kind of rocked my world because I had no idea. The way people talk about it, I thought it was this long running sort of cult hit that I had.
Like Doctor Who or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like Doctor Who, like I had no clue that thing went on for like 10 plus seasons in Britain. I had no idea.
I bought Firefly, the complete series on DVD because it was like $20 for the complete series. And this is back in the day when, I was like, oh, really getting into DVDs and TV series and things like that. And I was hesitant to buy it because it was the complete series until I did some research and found out that it's like two seasons and then like a fan funded or fan made season
Right.
essentially after that because it was
Right.
such a popular thing, which is ironic. If it's so popular, how did it not
Well,
get
there's a
another
lot
season?
of.
Continue on. Yeah.
I never watched it. I just never got around to watching it, and
Don't bother.
it's really so yeah, but like Mike said, every time you see this on Slick Deals, if you see Firefly advertised, people are like the number one series of all times, like the number
It
one
has this
show that's ever
huge
existed.
cult following. It's unbelievable.
But I mean, just because it has a huge following doesn't mean anything. Like, Community, although it's on Yahoo, that's a show that I really enjoyed watching, and like almost every season they tried to kill it. And then there's
You know what? I like the Community too, but that made it like what, 6 seasons or something like that?
it's on a sixth season, but like every season they're like, oh, let's kill it, and then a whole outpouring of fans or whatever, like, oh, you have to, keep another season, and then they'll do it, and then it like low fan turnout, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna kill it this time because nobody really, no, you must really keep it.
But let me ask you, does Firefly have any inside jokes? I've never heard like a late night TV talk about Firefly. I've never heard like big YouTubers that I watch. Nobody ever brings up Firefly. Like, how can it be that good without anybody ever talking about it? It
I
only
don't-
gets talked about when brought up, essentially. Oh, They put the DVDs on sale. Why'd they put them on sale? Because nobody's buying the fucking things. So they put them on sale, and then everybody's like, "This is the greatest thing ever!" Let's talk about it for a long time, and then let's never ever speak of it again. Like it's.
Right. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think it was a
that's
really quotable show.
no, I don't think so either.
I don't even know what it's about.
And
It's space people.
I don't either.
That's all
It's
I
like
know is it's space people.
it's sort of like Space Cowboys is basically the premise, I think. Where
Um,
like, oh, you sort of have like these outlaws all working together. One's a prostitute ish, and one's like a priest, and they're all working together to make enough money to make it to the next place.
so by the way, speaking of like, I mean, we're kind of already talking about our dorkiness. The new
Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah, trailer came out. How do you guys feel about that?
That there's a movie going to be coming soon, and the trailer was something that shows you what the movie
Is
going to be.
is anybody excited about that?
I'll watch it at some point. I
At
mean,
theater? Are you going to go to the theater?
I haven't been to the theater in 4 years.
Yeah,
Like,
I would say.
so probably not. So I was talking about this with people at work the other day. I love movie theaters. Watching a movie in a movie theater, I think, is like fantastic. You get the surround sound, you get this big
Right.
screen, like crowd reactions. In DC, man, they are so expensive. Half the shows are sold out when you try to go see
Everywhere.
them.
Everywhere now.
I don't go to the theater anymore. I'm good with watching like when the movie actually finally comes out. I'm good with watching it on my TV. I got a good good
Right.
sound coming out of my TV, my comfortable environment. I can chug as many beers as I want depending on how good the show is. That I'm
And they
watching.
don't cost $8 a beer.
Yeah,
And
I'm good
like-
with that, but it takes
Yeah.
so long for them to come out on
Right.
video to watch.
well, for me with Star Wars, like I loved the first three, and then they had the like three prequels or whatever that were not that good.
Well, I think in the
Space
Star
facts.
Wars industry, I think they know that they weren't that good,
Yeah.
and I think
So they're-
this one's going
exactly.
to be really good. Like Star Trek.
Well-
Have you seen Star Trek? The movies, the new
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
They are phenomenal. Like, I
They were pretty good.
I
The
I
first
watched
one I
Star
liked.
Trek.
The second one.
Right.
This-
I agree with Mark.
The what?
I said the first one was really good. The second one was it's all right.
I liked the second one. I definitely
The
liked the first
Rathacon-
one a lot better. I
the
think the
Rathacon
second one
really-
was still good.
It didn't really make that much sense to me. Like I didn't really get
It was okay.
it as much. I think if you were like a huge Trekkie and you watched all the movies and you're a big fan of Wrath of Khan, which I've never seen. So when I was watching the movie, and maybe you're the same situation, but for me, I just had a hard time like getting why they cared so much about Khan in the first place. I was like, he's the main villain, and I was like, yeah, I guess he helped you out, and then he's a bad guy, and you're fighting him. But it wasn't like I get like over it, like the sense like he's gonna end the world or something. But I don't know. I just didn't get it.
So, yeah, I don't know. I liked it.
Okay, that's
Star Wars. I have a feeling that this Star Wars is going to be better. You got Harrison Ford back,
Well,
and
yeah.
Well, okay.
I think it was expected. I think they're bringing back all the main characters.
he wasn't brought
I was
back
gonna
in the
say,
prequel.
if you don't bring him back, nobody is going to see this movie, right? Like, this is what. Okay, so what you're talking about right now is what drives me completely insane about all movies nowadays. Is you have to bring back that guy who was in this movie 20 years ago, so that people would go and see it. And by the way, in America, everyone will go see it as long as you bring back that guy.
See, I don't think that's true. James Bond goes on a completely different prospect. Those movies get more and more popular every one they make, and it's always, I can't say always, but they changed the main character in it.
And that drives me insane too. Nobody has any.
So you're driven insane when they change the character, but you're also driven insane when they keep him the same.
Well, no.
No,
What I'm driven insane by is that no one has any original ideas now. Every movie that comes out is a sequel or a third or a fourth or a fifth or, God forbid, we're on Fast and Furious 27 at
Which
this
apparently was
Well-
like the best one that's ever existed. I have not
Yeah.
seen it, but I haven't seen the
and
last
I-
like four.
I'll
So
bet
I
you
have no
good
idea.
money against Forrest Gump that it was not that good. You know. So
well,
if but movie theaters nowadays do not make those original movies because they know they can sell the idiots in America on the Avengers Part 6, whereas they don't have to risk any money on original
And
ideas
does it
because they
even
can
matter if it's the Avengers
churning out these
parts?
turds.
Does it matter if
I,
it's the Avengers Part 6? Because the Avengers Part 1 was still a comic book that they just remade into a movie anyways, right?
right.
Exactly. And by the way, why do adult men want to watch comic book movies? Like that's all that
Word.
we make nowadays is comic books and sequels.
Well, okay, wait, slow down, simmer.
Okay.
First,
That's it.
I do agree with you. There's a lot of sequels and prequels or whatever, but
That's
I
it.
mean,
That's all they make
wait,
anymore.
wait. But like, when Harry Potter came out, that came from a book, right? But
Correct.
that first book, that first movie was an original movie, right?
Okay.
Hunting Games or whatever that one
Hunger
with the
Games, yep.
Hunger Games, yeah. That sort of was an original movie that was based on that book, right?
On a book, yes.
So I mean, there's plenty of other movies that like Frozen. That's a movie that was original. So that I mean, there are a whole bunch of new movies that are original, but there's also a lot of other movies
Well,
that
let's
are
not say a
sequels
whole
and prequels.
bunch. Let's not say a whole bunch. Let's
I mean,
say
there was like
the
7 Robin Williams movies that I haven't even heard of that are out.
But look how
So-
popular they were.
well,
Apparently not enough, right?
Robin Williams has been dead for how long at this point? And we're talking about movies that he made, a long time ago. So let's not talk about movies that have been made in the past couple years.
Oh, and you got that. You got the Jaden Smith movie, After Earth. You have the Tom Cruise movie where he like resets after
Yeah,
he
Mission
dies.
Impossible 37. Yeah, let's talk about
I
that.
mean, like, sure, but I mean, there's always been sequels and prequel movies. I mean, like, you talk about Star Wars. After Star Wars 1, you were like, oh man, I guess what would be episode 5. Man, what a shit movie. That was just another remake of a sequel to, Star Wars 1.
So,
And it was horrible.
think about this for a minute. How entertaining would it have been if instead of Harry Potter starting at the beginning of the books, they were just like, here's Harry Potter 4. Like, randomly, the first movie is the 4th book of Harry Potter. And all of
Yep.
a sudden, you're watching this movie of this kid who's already at this, like, magic school and not having any freaking clue what's going on with anything. And then they make prequels, like, 5 years later. Like, why, when they made Star Wars, did they decide to make it starting at 4?
Does anyone really believe George Lucas when he was like, this was starting episode 4? I mean, I think this was something like, we made Star Wars, something. Oh, you know what?
Now we
Actually,
can
that's
cash
really
in.
episode 4. And I think that was just all
No,
added on.
no, didn't he make the movies after the books were written?
No.
Right. Well, yeah, the books were already written for sure, but I mean, he started in that place now with the intention of I'm going to make movies starting right here so that
So I
30
can make
years from now I
prequels
can go
20
back
years
and
in the
cash
future.
in
Right.
on success. He said this is a logical place to start because I'm starting with Ben
excitement.
Kenobi, that whole storyline ending and whatever. But it's morphed into this whole thing, and good for George Lucas that the whole movie industry has morphed into this thing where original movies don't get made anymore. They're just sequels or comic books or novelty crap like Battleship and G.I. Joe that they just get made based on the principle that they were popular,
Well,
25 years ago.
Battleship?
Okay,
Sell to the
Battleship,
millennials
the
who are
movie?
idiots.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Really?
I haven't seen the movie. But,
Is it just kids playing like in front of a board, like saying B2?
Oh no, they're
Right.
like in that movie. They're like aliens or something crazy. But because it has a trademarked name from 25 years ago, they can make the movie and crap it out, and everybody's going to go watch it.
okay, but Mike, but you do realize the reason why all these movies, all these sequels, all these remakes or whatever, is because people your age are the ones making these movies. So it's,
Yeah.
saying all
I
our
do.
generation's fault.
I
For
totally
watching- making
blame
the
my
movies that-
generation. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I am thankful, like I literally thank God every day that this is the generation of major motion pictures that I don't get to watch because I have super small children that never
I
allow me to
disagree.
watch. I'm so happy that this is the point in time that I'm missing all these movies because they're garbage, all of them.
I don't know. I'm sort of excited. Like, I can't even believe the number of movies that are coming out just this year alone. There's like 20 Marvel movies, a couple DC movies. You're having no, but I mean, like, sure, I'm not gonna watch all of them. Like, who the hell? Like, I'm not give a crap about Ant-Man or whatever movie that
Ant-Man?
Marvel. But
Ant-Man's coming out. It's
but
very recent. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
That's the
thought
thing.
I mean, like,
I honestly
I'm
thought you
excited
guys
to
were
see the
kidding,
new
but
Avengers movies.
no, I'm sad.
I don't watch every Spider-Man movie that comes out, but I watch them on occasion. I watch Seth Rogen movies that are all original content, although they're all about smoking marijuana, pretty much.
Or about taking down North Korea.
Yeah, or
And
yeah, that too.
by the way, when the first Transformers movie came out, like I remember specifically a conversation I had with my brother-in-law where he was like, "Wow, this is really cool. I remember really digging Transformers when I was a kid. I can't wait to see this movie." And I'm like, "I remember digging them when I was a kid too, but now I'm an adult and I don't need to see a movie about Transformers." And thus, I have never seen a single Transformers movie, and I am a happy adult because of this.
You're kind of missing out.
Yeah.
I'm
The
not.
first
I
one was pretty
really don't
good.
think I am.
Shia LaBeouf
It's,
is the actor of the century.
no.
And
It just all depends on what you like. I don't like Transformers because I like the fact that, look, it's the Transformers from my childhood. Yeah, it's just like it's a really cool, like well done, well animated, well computer, choreographed or
yeah.
whatever you want to call it. Cool action scenes, like it's a guy's movie, like is exactly what it is. I want to see another good. Oh, by the way, I was about to say just this phrase and having nothing to do with the movie. If you guys want to see an original concept movie that came out probably in 2004, 2005, like we're still talking 10 years ago. You ever seen the movie Shoot 'Em Up
Shoot 'em up. That sounds
with
familiar.
Clive Owens? It is a movie that I think one of the catchphrases of like people promoting the movie was the most carrot related deaths ever in a movie. Like it's it's supposed to be this old gangster type movie. Clive Owens
Yeah.
is the main guy, but it's done in the most ridiculous way. It is so damn funny. Like it's obviously an original concept because nobody could have like even tried to make this shit up except the one dude who made this shit up. Like,
Well, however, like there was a movie called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
yes, that was a cartoon
No, it was also a movie.
way
It was
back
before a
when,
cartoon.
though.
Movie.
Yeah, it was a
It was
movie then
definitely
made into a cartoon.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
yeah.
know
Oh,
that.
for sure. The movie was absolutely atrocious, but it was so bad that it was funny.
No, I watched it. It wasn't so bad. It was funny. It was just just
Oh no,
pretty much
I
all right
laughed my
now.
butt off at that movie. It was absolutely hilarious.
See, I think they need other good, and I completely agree with your point that I'm sad that they don't have new concepts because movie like Memento
Yeah.
was just amazing for the fact that they did something that nobody had ever really done before and they did it so well. I wish they would make a Memento too. Granted, it would lose a lot of the focus, and that's probably why they don't make one and are better off for not making one. But I mean,
Right.
I would love to see another movie with that styling to it or something that just so different. One thing I love about time travel movies. I know we were talking about time travel a little bit earlier, but time travel movies in general, the genre, I love it because you can take that and just do so many different things with it and so many different like theories of time travel that you always can go a different direction with those type of movies. And there hasn't been a good
Well,
time travel movie in a while. Though Project Almanac, I still want to see.
yeah, I was gonna say
Oh,
I want to see that too. It's kind of interesting to
Yeah,
me.
that's
However,
intriguing.
like like time travel movies, like I feel like are at least sort of. I don't want to say based in like the here and now, but there is at least
They're
theories
based
at
in
this.
time, Mike.
Well, there's at least theories right now where like we sort of look at like quarks and all these weird things, and we think that they're moving faster than the speed of light, and so it's sort of like within our grasp as far as science goes.
But at the same time, it's not, which is why you can make a movie about it in every facet that you want to, because it's something we have a slight understanding of, but not a broad enough understanding to
Right,
do anything
right,
with.
and that's what I get. But when you talk about Transformers and like all these weird things, like Thundercats, they're talking about making a Thundercats movie. So
Yeah, they are making a Thundercats movie.
yeah, there's zero proof or believability to a movie of a race of humans who are half like lion or whatever the hell the
Wait,
Thundercats
wait, wait.
what they
I don't know. I mean, Avatar. That's a whole bunch of blue creatures living on another planet.
it is, but at least that had like some sort of well, number one, it was sort of politically driven, so left wingists really
How
wanted to see
happy
that movie.
when you saw like Chewie come back for the new Star Wars movie? Were you excited, or you're just like, oh, those
Well, Chewie's
unbelievable
Well,
easy.
but
easy?
Chewie can come back even if the guy who was inside that suit died.
No,
Like
what
in
I'm
the
saying is
meantime.
he's complaining about like not like basically how can you believe in human-like animals?
well,
Which
number one, it's becoming increasingly more probable. And by the way, I've been talking about this for years that life in the universe is more and more likely to exist outside of Earth. Number
right,
two, a lot of that movie was basically political rhetoric based on we're destroying Earth based on like fuel consumption. So left wingists sort of are going to flock to that movie. Number three, this was a production that was on hold for over a decade based on like the technological side of it that they could make it as 3D as people would want to see it in IMAX or whatever. So when that came out, it was this sort of perfect storm of all these people are going to go see this thing all at once.
I totally missed out on Avatar. I watched it on DVD at home, and I thought,
I did as
what?
well.
I was like, what? Like, it's a mediocre movie.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
thought
like
the movie was extremely mediocre.
the CG was good, but it wasn't something like mind blowing. Maybe if I went to a movie theater in IMAX 3D, that would have blown me away. But overall, I was just
Okay.
sort of like,
Well, so as me, someone who kind of tends to lean more right wing than left wing, which I feel like this movie was definitely kind of left wing propaganda.
okay,
The IMAX side of it was incredible. And
okay,
I've seen IMAX movies before, and this technology, according to James Cameron, he sat on this thing for over a decade because he didn't have the capability of shooting it, to the ability he wanted to do it as far as 3D and all that goes. It was incredible.
Okay,
In
but
IMAX, it was absolutely incredible.
But let's take this back to the original point that we started talking about movies from. Is James Cameron, as a child, probably was like watching Disney movies and then watching the movie Fern Gully and was like, I can make this into an amazing 3D thing in the future when 3D gets better. So it's not even like it's his idea anyway, because
I
it
agree.
was such a ridiculous knockoff of Fern Gully.
Right. And I absolutely agree that that was one instance where because the technology was so, kind of far
and
and
I don't even
away.
want to go and spoil it for you guys, but you can't believe where he got the idea for Titanic.
Was it from a
Just stole
book?
it, stole it right from the headlines. I swear.
Right, right. Well, this just in, I have never seen the movie Titanic,
You're not
and
missing much.
I never will. The boat
I
sinks
missed.
at the end. I know
I
that. So,
it was on DVD, not DVD, on VHS, and my mom
Two
rented
two freaking
two,
tapes.
two. So I
Two
watched the
tapes.
first tape, and it goes all the way to them hitting the iceberg, and then we returned the tapes because I was like, I don't need to finish it.
Oh, I've seen the
yeah,
movie.
the
Like
boat
that's the
sinks.
climax, and I was just like, ah.
I've seen it a number of times throughout the years, and it is. I mean, it's got some entertainment value in it just because of the the fact that it's referenced in so many like movies or TV shows or cartoons nowadays, but that's pretty much it.
I'm the king of the
Yeah,
world.
exactly. You
You
don't
know,
need to see it to know, but you know where that's from. Like
right? Exactly. I've never seen the movie.
two VHS tapes. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? Like laser disc. Would you have to have two laser discs at that thing in? Like stuck
Oh,
around?
if it was Laserdisc, it would be like several of those. Laserdisc holds a lot less than
But
a
they're
CD.
two sided. Keep that in mind. So like one movie was normally like one side and then you flip it over
I
halfway
feel
through and you
like
go to the other side.
laser discs were bigger than VHS.
Huh?
Right? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I know
mean,
for a
DVDs,
normal
yes.
movie you'd have to flip it over. I know. I remember with VHSs though, it also depended on the quality you wanted to record in, and you could do your SP, your LP, or your SLP.
Am I confused? What is
Yes.
Laserdisc? Is those like the giant record
They were
like?
like
Yeah.
a record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I never owned a
Who had one
Laserdisc
of those
player.
players?
I knew a friend who did.
Yeah, the VHS was way more popular.
Yeah, it's way more pop. No, he said bigger. I think he means bigger
Oh,
as
oh,
in like file
oh.
size bigger.
Capacity.
Okay. I thought you meant capacity-wise, it's less than a VHS. I remember because I remember watching a 15-minute video on a Laserdisc at school, and you should have saw the machine they brought out for that. And it was like that was the end. They've got to switch to another one.
They're
It was
like, kids, this is gonna take our school into the future. We have the Betamax, the Laserdisc. Maybe one day we'll be lucky enough and get that Microsoft HD drive.
We're at
Our Betamax was better than
286K.
VHS.
You buckle your seatbelts, kids.
And a 14.4 BPS modem. I wanted to have my children. Isn't that from the movie Hackers?
Or, yeah, hackers.
Angelina Jolie's first movie.
It was an awesome movie.
God, it's so ridiculous. All I remember, the main thing I remember about that movie is that kid just going, "Hey, I hit that thing in that place. I hit that thing that one time." Click. Like,
Done and done.
done and done. And that chick was like, "Gotcha." The cops were like, "What?" Angelina Jolie was like, "Huh? I haven't met Brad Pitt yet." Mark's like, "What?"
Yeah. Actually, I didn't see that movie either. So
You never saw Hackers? I mean, it's almost like watching Tron now. If you go
Really?
watch the original Tron, which by the way, the Tron remake was freaking horrible. One of the
yeah, I
worst.
didn't like it.
I can't say it's not even a remake. It was supposed to be the
Upgraded.
sequel.
Yeah, yeah. I was telling my wife that, no, because she said it was a remake.
I
and
thought
was
it
like,
was
no,
a
it's
remake
not.
too until I saw it. I
Yeah.
thought it was advertised, in my opinion, as that it was a Tron remake. And I
Right.
was like, this is gonna be kind of awesome. It's gonna be like Tron, because Tron was like awesome back in the day.
Back in the
Let's
day.
remake it as like just better graphics, better animation. And it's still gonna be a good movie, just better. But nope, it was a sequel.
Actually, I watched Tron recently, not recently, but as an adult, I didn't find it as amazing as I remember.
Well,
Like a lot of
probably
movies when I watched.
It was so much. It was. I can't say speculation, but people didn't know as much about the digital world at that point. That it was like
Right.
this new revolutionary thing.
Yeah,
Right.
it was all kind of this unknown frontier, you know.
Yeah,
I
like
thought-
it's like what's gonna happen one day when we disprove God, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, the Bible! It was so revolutionary in its day."
Well, when I rewatched Aladdin too, Aladdin also.
Aladdin 2, the
Yeah.
second one,
No,
the one where
Aladdin-
Iago becomes good and therefore spun
Yeah,
off
yeah,
the
yeah.
series. Like,
Yeah,
Right,
it was
it's
weird.
gonna be like when we disprove Yago. Everyone's just blown away at that. Like,
No, but I mean, like Aladdin was nowhere near as good as I remembered it. So I'm too afraid to watch The Lion King again, thinking I liked it
you
as
don't
a
want
kid.
to ruin
but
that.
I don't want to ruin that childhood memory. But yeah, Aladdin was nowhere near as awesome as I remembered it to be. So
Oh, Disney. You and your movies from back in the
Weird.
day.
weird. And that's kind of the goal of this podcast is to kind of wound Mark a little bit.
Killing me, guys, killing me.
Right. Slowly, we're kind of wounding him based on his childhood recollections.
Yeah. Of course, it seems like they already got to you, Mike. You're like, everything new nowadays. Well, no, actually, you're the opposite. Everything is so much better in the day, and I think it's sort of like music. I was going to say about movies and music is that like people remember the music being so much better when they were younger, but that's not true at all. Like,
Why?
um, you because there was a lot of crap when we were younger,
There's a lot of
but
crap now.
There's
yeah, and there's a lot of crap now, but you remember the good ones, and they played the good songs. So you're like, oh yeah, the music was much better than now. Yeah, Justin Bieber sucks compared to some of the great songs that we had when we were kids. And granted, there were some really good artists, but there was a lot of crappy songs. So same thing with movies. Like 20 years from now, people will be like, man, this was the golden age of movies,
no one is
not
ever
like
going
the
to say
crap
that.
now.
See, I think it's so difficult because as we progress forward with technology, the
Yeah.
output is just so much higher that
Right.
the percentage of good to bad is way less than it ever will be. And it will just continue. I think that span will continue. It's like YouTube. I do YouTube on the side. When I started doing YouTube, granted, it was only like 4 years ago, there was a whole different understanding of what people wanted to see, a whole different way that people got into doing YouTube, whereas now it's just an open market that's so saturated, that's so
Right.
difficult to distinguish good from bad content. And I think that's just
Well,
what the future is going to hold.
and there's going to be like this scenario where eventually, the idiots of America are going to get tired of watching Avengers Part 67. And so people are going to start making their own movies because, by the way, if you use a high-end computer, you can start doing recordings that are not quite to the level of Hollywood, but
Yeah,
you're
but
close.
in 10 years, you're going to be at the level of Hollywood at
Right.
your own.
Like,
Right.
yeah, if you take into consideration like, Blair Witch Project and the paranormal activity and stuff like that, like these mainstream movies are already being made that cost like 10 grand, next to nothing as
Right.
far as filmmaking goes. So people are going to get tired of all this garbage that's coming out right now, and people are going to start releasing their own sort of, original ideas on like YouTube and stuff like that, sort of those weird avenues, and then we're going to have, a much higher selection of quality as far as motion pictures
I
go.
can't wait because of like the whole GoPro nation, GoPros, like fancy cameras, this, that, the other, that somebody's going to end up making a movie that is like one of the biggest movies of its time. And it's going to literally cost like the cost of
Nothing.
the camera
It'll
plus
cost
like
nothing.
$100 or something like
Right.
that. Be like, literally, I put in $800 and I got a movie that banked me $18 billion in revenue or
Right.
something like that. And that is
It,
going to
it,
happen. It's going to happen very soon.
I'm
Well,
thinking about doing that right now the next time we record a podcast, and it'll be like a day in the life of a podcaster. I think that's working title. It's a working title right now.
I like the title so far. Well,
Right.
we
And
could
I'll
work
sit
on it.
here and it'll constantly see me leaning back to drink beer and
Oh, it's
it'll
going to
be
be a
recording
POV.
this
So the
podcast.
next podcast, we're going to see you wearing one of those head mounts.
Sure.
I actually
I'll,
have one of those head mounts. Like,
I'll look like a unicorn or a narwhal,
I
and I'll
mean, it's not going to be a horn. Well, I guess it could be a horn. Dude, you could wear the head mount with
I
the
get
selfie stick.
right with
There you
exactly.
go.
So it can watch me. Watch me. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because you know
Good
what?
idea.
That is the downfall of the selfie stick is that you have to hold it. If you
right.
had it on a head mount,
You
like,
attach
dude,
it to your head.
new invention, the selfie stick mount for your body. They probably already have that, but I think it's ingenious. We're gonna sell it and make millions.
It'd be
Yeah.
like the external thing of with that movie that you were talking about earlier,
The external
where
thing of that movie.
like where you record the whole
Oh
person's
yeah,
life.
yeah. But
This would
that
be a
would be.
selfie stick of the person.
But this would be
Face.
the opposite. This would be the
Yeah.
complement to that implant because it would be showing you as well, whereas this only
Yeah.
shows out.
Yeah,
It'd be
right.
the GoPro narwhal.
The GoPro narwhal. That's
Yeah.
a good. That's a good. Why are narwhals so popular right now? I don't even know, but they are. So that would be a good thing to
Like
go with at this point.
I like them.
The Nar Pro.
Narp.
The
Pro Nar.
Gonal. The Goal. Wait.
The Nar.
Yeah,
Nargo.
Yeah, we got this.
Nargo?
You guys will see it. We'll be rich. You'll buy one.
Why not? People are kickstarting like $500,000 or $1 million for a kilogram cube or whatever. The kilo cube.
Wait, like of
Right.
drugs?
Kickstarter.
There's a Kickstarter thing where they're selling, like, I think for $200, this piece of metal is a cube piece of metal called a kilo cube, and it weighs exactly 1 kilo, and costs $200, and is making $1 million right now.
I don't understand.
What?
This is where the world is heading. We're buying really, really useless stuff.
People have too much money? Is that what you're saying?
Well, like the thing is, like I was reading an article about it, and they were saying like people would buy this, put it on their desk, and it would be a conversation starter. Probably because people would be like, "What the hell is that?" And then you'd say, "Oh, it's like a kilogram cube," and they're like, "Why did you buy it?" Because
But
it's $200.
But they already have paperweights. They already exist.
Well, but
But
actually,
it's
I
in
already,
cube form.
I actually just sort of watched a video on this, and very interesting.
you
Actually,
watched a
talk
video
about,
on this Killicube? What the?
Well, no, not on the kilocube, but when you talk about like weights,
Yeah.
like a kilogram is based on some weird volume of weight that is locked away in a vault somewhere, and it changes all the time because this specific unit of measure is always decaying. So, like
Right.
1 kilogram,
What?
and when you talk about like a pound, like that's based on a kilogram, which is always changing. So, like a unit of measure is never completely set. Like
Yeah.
it's very weird.
That's why they're trying to change it so it's not in flux as much. So they're
they
trying to
call
change
it
the second.
the modern day pet rock.
Yeah, pretty
Isn't
much.
that crazy?
What?
Like,
Where's Bob?
if you really like, really listeners, if you want to look up like I forget what this video was that I watched, but it was something on YouTube about like a perfect kilogram or something like that, and they just talk about like how an actual kilogram is some weight that is locked away in a vault somewhere, and they actually have these corresponding weights locked away in other vaults, but they're decaying at separate rates. So an actual kilogram is not like a set volume of weight, and a pound is based off of that. Like it's this crazy thing where like when you think you know what a pound is, it's not really a pound. It's this weird thing.
I also learned that the reason why that we're not on the metric system in the United States is that when France created the metric system, they basically didn't invite the Americans over to the convention where they were talking about their metric system, and it was in protest of something like that America did that pissed off the French.
Yeah,
So
France.
like,
You didn't think we'd hold out this long, but we did, and look what you guys have to deal with is our
What's up,
random
France?
conversions. Bring it, France.
We got this. Pounds and
Pounds
Weird.
and shit.
weird weight measurements. What's up? We corner the market on weird weight measurements.
Yeah, you wanna buy a pound of something, you have to come to us for
You don't
it.
even know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even know.
You're
It's
like,
because
oh,
it's decaying in a
don't
vault
even know.
somewhere. We don't even know what it is, but that doesn't matter. We'll pretend.
You simmer down, France.
All right, guys. This is What Do We Know podcast. WDWKpodcast.com. YouTube.com/WDWK podcast. Facebook.com/What Do We Know.
We don't know what a pound is, but we know a lot of other stuff, I guess.
And email us. WDWKpodcast@gmail.com.
catch you later.
Bye bye.